Playoffs? You want to talk to me about playoffs? Our playoffs started last week, and I'm going to tell you what Kirk is doing wrong versus what the coach is doing wrong. Hop into the Bird Bath Deep Dive. The C Mitchell checking in with another Bird Bath Deep Dive, and I know it may sound cliche, but in week 15, there are no easy games. This is the last quarter of the season, and there are several players, coaches, and teams auditioning or shopping for new positions next year. Don't just take my word for it.
And he'd do that crossover dribble, and then he'd rush the center. This is what he's capable of. Don't be surprised if they're in 5 down and they put 95 on your ass because this is so easy. These are not jobs. These are careers. And there's a difference.
You gotta play with some pride, some individual accolades, your brother next to you. You gotta find a why for these last 5 games.
You're not just playing for this year, you're playing for next year. You're playing for your life in the league. Teams gonna evaluate if they need to go draft somebody in your position. If they need to let you go and bring somebody else in, just the honest truth about it.
Now, contrary to popular belief, according to statistics, to this point in the season, the Falcons have had the strongest strength of schedule, with a combined winning percentage of the opponents at 59%. Not to make any excuses for Ra's performance so far, this is going to be very telling of him as a coach, how he bounces back and what he's learned from some of these tough losses earlier in the season. Recently, we just played a stretch of some of the best defenses in the NFL so far this year. But I'm going to be looking for from Raheem is what kind of adjustments he's going to make to get them more focused. And if we can put together a full concerted team effort and play good football all the way around. Everybody has a player or two who can do some damage to you if you're not careful. For the Raiders, that's Brock Bowers and Max Crosby. Now, the Raiders aren't particularly great on offense or defense, so if we just go out, we run the ball, play patient, play our brand of football, and don't self-destruct, this is a game that we should be able to win. This is a real ugly game, and it's a team that we definitely should beat, but that doesn't mean that this win is going to come easy. The Falcons can't overlook things, and what they got to do this week is make sure that they're focused, paying attention to the details, winning the turnover battle. Our defense has been pretty bend but don't break all year long. They've had their ups and downs, but over the last few weeks, they've actually improved. There are some weak points in our secondary, but we've been pretty good about making sure that we don't give up too many big plays this year. If we can keep applying pressure with our front seven, I think our team's going to do pretty well. The only thing that we can really do is just win out the rest of our games and go undefeated at the rest of the season and get 10 wins. The easiest way for us to sneak into the dance is for Tampa Bay to lose one of their next few games because we own all the tiebreakers with them. Now, if Tampa Bay doesn't lose, we're going to have to hope that some combination of the Rams, Packers, or Commanders don't get over 10 wins because we don't own any tiebreakers with those guys as well, too. Any team with 11 wins or more get in the playoffs over us because all we can hope to get at max is 10 wins. So what's the bigger problem right now? The offensive coordinator or Kirk? And I'll tell you both of them. Now, the biggest issues with Zach Robinson have been largely with philosophy and situational football. The Falcons, when he took over, were built to be a run-first team. But the problem is Zach Robinson is a very pass-happy coordinator. He comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree, runs a very similar scheme to what those guys run. But the problem with us is we don't have a Matthew Stafford out there. And even Kirk's strengths are as a play-action quarterback. But we've been running a lot less play-action after the bye week, even though we said we were going to run more of it. And one thing that I do like is that if we're close to midfield or we're on the opponent's opposite side of the field, we're in 4-down territory. Zach Robinson, if he actually goes out here and runs the ball a lot more on some of the earlier downs and actually isn't afraid to go back-to-back or even 3 runs in a row, that's going to free things up for us a lot more down the field and later in the game. Even if we go with 1st and 2nd down with running downs, 3 yards on 1st down, 3 yards on 2nd down, 2 or 3 yards on 3rd down. That is where we can excel with our play action. Play action plays on the psyche of the defense, believing that you're going to keep running the ball, no matter how successful it is. Now, with us running so much shotgun, pistol, and 11 personnel, that means we got a lot more cornerbacks and defensive backs coming up. These guys are going to start overcompensating, and that's where you open up things for Kirk. His decline in arm strength has made it a lot harder for him to hit certain route combinations, like the out route. Can't throw in the tight windows quite as much. So he needs for Zach Robinson to help him out with a lot more play action and running so that he can actually get into those tight windows a little bit more. Kirk's actually been seeing things a lot later as well, too. Throwing his passes late, double clutching, and even on some of his completions, he's actually off target and throwing behind the player. So we're not actually maximizing and hitting guys on the run. Kirk's always been a guy who stared down receivers, not gone through his progressions really well, and predetermined which player he's going to go to. That's why he's really great at play action. He's not a guy that you want reading defenses and picking things apart like a Matthew Stafford. We're passing too much, and we're getting ourselves into 3rd and long situations. Even 3rd and 5 is not where we want to be at. We want to keep defenses so honest that they don't know what we're going to be doing next. It also would be better if Zach Robinson was stressed for Kirk to be able to take what the defense is giving him. That's going to open up a lot more things for him downfield as well, too. I think Kirk's having a hard time realizing that he doesn't have the same physical abilities that he had once upon a time. I don't know if it's his Achilles or if it's his throwing arm or what, but Raheem's confidence in Kirk is very disturbing. I don't know if it's him or if it's upper management that's forcing him to play him. Now, granted, last week he did play a lot better than he played the week before, but that bar was set pretty low because he was terrible against the Chargers. That's our show for today. Point Game Official, Deep Dive, C-Mode, C. Mitchell, checking out. Peace.